Hello, people. I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. Leastways not yet, anyway. 24th of April, Thursday. Cheers. Honestly, I thought I would take the day off, and then I get up and see the news that we've lost another, for me, fairly important musical figure, David Thomas of Pere Ubu. Now, we're losing people all the time. The other day, it was Roy Thomas Baker, the famous producer. Well, he should be. I think he is. Queen and just a ton of stuff. I got Roy Thomas Baker Productions. No Queen, though. I sold my Queen. But David Thomas is a different story. I grabbed some of my Pere Ubu to show because they were a unique band. And I remember when they first started to, when I first started to read about them in independent magazines like Trouser Press and stuff. Y'all remember that magazine? Cleveland band, if I'm correct. Never saw Pere Ubu, but they could I call them an influence on me? Yeah, I can actually. So this is my second copy of the Modern Dance because I bought it when it came out. Shortly after it came out, the Modern Dance, and this is an album that starts off like gangbusters. Like gangbusters. The Modern Dance. Non-alignment packed. The combination of the driving rhythms of the band with the sound work, the synthesizer, and David's very unique voice and acquired taste. I also liked what I saw of his personality. I didn't see him as being purposely difficult, as I have been following the history of rock music since a kid. I see where some artists will put on being difficult, like like that's something they need to do, and be mysterious or whatever. But David was just honestly, you know, being himself, slightly cantankerous, but mostly what I picked up on was his impatience with a lot of human ignorance. What I have by them, because I don't dedicatedly collect them, 390 degrees of simulated stereo, Pere Ubu live. Yeah, it's time to break these out. Once again, that's the the power of the collection is that the music and the information is here. Song of the Bailing Man. So I've met one of the members of the band, Anton Fear, their drummer. I met him. He was on tour. Was Bob Mould? Is that when I met him? I think I met Bob Mould twice, and first time was a backstage deal at the Ranch Bowl where I got to hang out. But I don't want to mix it up. It might be Tony Maimone, the bass player from Pere Ubu that I met that night. Some of these things get a little fuzzy after a while. Here's one where I, again, picked it up not that long ago, so it's time to dive into it. I have a favorite Pere Ubu album. It's the next one I'll show. But this one, The Art of Walking. And this is, again, a reissue on Get Back. Very unique band. Very, very, very cool sound. Yeah, you could call it art rock if you want to. It's not prog. Definitely not prog. It has connections, you could say, to punk in some ways. I mean, the band that preceded Pere Ubu that David Thomas was part of was Rocket from the Crypt. And I got that right? And then this is the one that I'm most familiar with, and I've had this the longest. New Picnic Time. Love this album. The voice of sand on here is real cool. I like the cover of this one too, but this album is a standout. New Picnic Time. Well worth discovering if you don't know them. And I have one of his solo albums. Well, it's David Thomas and the Pedestrians. The Sound of the Sand. So if you don't know the works of David Thomas or Pere Ubu, highly recommended, highly recommended. So I'm going to just check and see if I've had very many other more views of my highlighted. Yes, I have actually, so I'm going to leave it for a while. My grapefruit performance, I want to draw attention to that. I do. I haven't decided yet where to play next, because the thing that I am aware of and was made aware of by a local promoter, all you got to do is say when, and we'll set you up. So, a little project. At this point in my next show, besides Saturday, the improv thing, which I'm looking forward to, I practiced yesterday. Maybe someone will say, well, how do you practice improv? I didn't practice improv. I practiced playing the bass. Again, to me, the important thing in improvisation is when you're playing with other people is to listen and allow the sound of what's happening to guide you. And I'm going to give a lot of credit to my dad for this, because he could improvise. He was a big fan of Lester Young and John Coltrane, among others. But he studied John Coltrane, and I remember that as a little boy. And by the time we were doing the family band, when I was in my 20s, we could, and my dad would conduct us. We had no idea. He'd kind of set it up with something he'd blow on his sax. We'd kind of fall in. He'd let us know if we're doing okay. And the next thing you know, he would turn around and start to conduct us. And it got to the point where we were pretty good at it. So, Pere Ubu, that's what I like about them, is that there's that element. And also connected to my show, practicing the bass just so that I can be in the moment to play. I'd like to share a little bit more. Yesterday, besides practicing and housework that we all have, I watched a 2-hour documentary on REM. I think it's dated 2014. And really got into it. Really enjoyed it. It was neat to see the historic perspective, because I played with REM, and REM did change music. They did take alternative indie rock and put it in the mainstream. They were one of the bands that did it. And they're just regular folks. Still are. I saw at REM 3 times. One of those times was when I got to play the show with them. REM, Digital Sex, opened for REM on their Murmur tour. Love this album. Yeah, you don't necessarily know what Michael's saying. You don't need to. You can feel the music. And it was about this time. We played with them in Omaha on this tour. I've told the story many times. I'll tell it again though. We were playing at this club called the 20s, which used to be a strip club. And then for a time, they were doing shows, and they were doing some good shows. I saw the Ramones there, a Ministry, The Alarm. Can't remember all the shows there. Great shows. So when REM played and they had my band Digital Sex open, I mean, that was an honor for me. For the whole band, I can say that honestly. So we played our asses off. I mean, I remember in particular myself and John Tingle, the guitarist, we wanted blood. We wanted to kick REM's ass. We played hard. And this is the cool truth about it. The band, were back in the green room sleeping because they toured hard back in those days, just one night after the other. But Pete Buck and Bill Berry, I'll never forget this. This was such a wonderful moment. I saw when we were doing our last song of the set, and we're just tearing it up. Literally, we are. We're doing a Who. I look over and I see Bill Berry and Pete Buck's heads poked out of the green room watching us, digging us. And then afterwards, we vibed up big time and we partied all night. I used to tell the story of the run-in with Mike Stipe, and I apologize because I was kind of naive at the time. It's a compliment to think about the fact that I was being, that Mike Stipe flirted with me. I used to tell the story differently, but it's an honor, actually, when I think back on it. It wasn't why I was there, It's there for the music. I'm proud to say that that's why I'm still here on the Omaha scene, because I was never one of the guys who was trying to fuck everybody. I was there for the music. I have these other REM albums, and the thing about them is they're consistently true to themselves and good. And the documentary shows where it's like a lot of people, they really don't know what they're doing. They're just making music. They started the band because it seemed like a cool thing to do, play at some parties, and I went ahead and went for it. I think this is the Target special color vinyl. I said, fuck it, I want it. And it just grew. The band just grew. And if you've ever seen them live, you can see that as a band, they throw down. They're very good. REM. Is this Reckoning? Is that the name of the album? Yep, Reckoning. So the deal was, every time I saw REM, I would hang out with them. To the point after we played with them, and I really got along with Bill Berry. Well, all of them actually. I have stories of all of them. Pete Buck, I gave him. He has copies of my first EPs, and he says, "I keep the records, Dereck. I have your record." But they'd come through again, and they remember us, and then. So I got backstage passes for the last time they came through that I went to see them. They've been here since then, but the last time they came, they played it at the Civic Auditorium, and they put me on the guest list, which is very cool. I have these as well. This picture disc, I was able to pick this at night. This is a good song. Night Swimming. I remember specifically buying this at a record show where one of the buyers was a local music lover who I would see at a lot of the indie shows. And he had been selling records for a while at the shows. But this one, he had everything marked way down. He said, I am fed up. Me and my wife are fed up. This is taking up too much time, too much room in our lives. And he was selling this stuff for like $1, $2. People were freaking out. We cleaned his ass out. I believe this is their last album, Collapse Into Now, and it's strong. I love the way it starts. they show them, I believe it's a recording of them doing the first song on here, Discoverer. It sounds just like what's on the album, and it's them recording it live with Bill Rieflin on drums, who I just missed meeting before he died. He worked with my friend Orenda Fink, but I didn't know it at the time. Wish I had. This is a very, very strong album. As well as this, Around the Sun. I love Q-Tip's inclusion on The Outsiders. I think that's my favorite song on this album, Around the Sun. Got a lot of love for REM and for their personal integrity. I see where all four members were on stage recently at someone's show, and they did a song together, and Bill Berry was on bongos or something. That's heartwarming. So that's what I have to share. No night listen last night. Last night was, again, a fan night. That will affect whether or not because I don't have, my central air is dead. So I sleep with fans. And so night listens when it gets hot. There's no night listen to fan. It wasn't hot, but it was a fan night. I have a couple other records I'll show, but I'm just going to want to just let you folks know that I'm not going to censor myself ever, And if it brings up people wanting to come over and be unkind, well, I just roll with it, It's a sad state of the world is sad in that sense. So I showed you this Patrick Sky, and I had not listened to it in a long time. So I said, play this, Dereck. You don't even know what it's about. And this guy was great. I did hit the nail on the head by mentioning Phil Oakes, although this is not a protest album. It has songs that are very graphic, and like, this was made in the 60s. There's just one song on here, A Dirge to Love Gone By, about a young woman who had her abortion didn't go well. She ended up having the baby, killed the baby, ended up in prison. It's stark and cold. And I was thinking, oh my God, how did he did this? But it's nothing new. Artists using their voices to try to reflect reality and comment on the grit of life is nothing new. So there are a couple of more lighthearted songs in here, like I Like to Sleep Late in the Morning and Sleep with All the Women. That was fun to listen to, but overall, this is really good. He has a good voice, too. Good picker. Patrick Sky, if you've never heard this guy. Photographs. I went ahead and listened to this because I like this album a lot. Slap, if you don't know this. Electronic. One guy. Really good. And I tried to play this, and it wasn't time. I know this is good, but it's something you need to kind of be ready to get into. It's a whole head trip. Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum, Inglorious Times. I had to take this off. I wasn't in the mood. It was just really, it's like, I don't really want to go here. It's all angsty and starts off, I don't know if I started with side one, but the side that I started with has an ominous, slow building theme that was frankly uncomfortable. And it's like, this is not a place I want to go. Mo Stiano, who was in the band for a while, is a Facebook friend, and he actually gets a hold of me sometimes for support. I'll say it. I'll go ahead and say it. For support. Everybody needs friends. Everybody needs decent people. We could use decent people for leaders, but we're not going to get it. Oh, that's the other thing that I watched that I'm not going to try to pull any records to reflect it, but I love documentaries. I really do. I watched one on a female drummer. Oh, I'd have to look it up. closely associated with the women's music movement as it started to develop in the 70s. Barbara, possibly, can't remember her last name, was a B. Great, great story. But the other documentary that I really enjoyed yesterday was about Arif Mardin, the producer arranger who was central to the success of Atlantic Records. I wasn't surprised, but found it interesting to see, just like Ahmet Erdogan, his background goes back to the Middle East and money. You know, the families have money. But Arif Mardin, who is behind, you name it, everything from Aretha Franklin to the Young Rascals, Barbra Streisand, Carly Simon. Really enjoyed his story, and you know, it was the end of his life, so they're working on his last solo album where he brought in all these folks like Norah Jones and stuff. And his story touched me because he was very honest about where it comes from. It has to do with him losing his older sister when he was only 10 or 11. And his grief, you know, how he wouldn't leave his room, and the thing that finally got him to leave the room was music. And what an ear, you know. He was amazing, and behind a lot of the great, you know, Donny Hathaway. I have that album, that first album. It's hard to listen to. It's so soulful and sad in a lot of ways. A lot of the songs, "Song for You," written by Leon Russell. That's an amazing, beautiful, beautiful song. Excuse me. That's basically what I have here. I know we've lost others, and we'll lose more important people. So, but rest in peace. Rest in peace, brother. Okay, so here I have people trying to contact me through email, and I have this one person, I've never met him, but he just sends me emails when he wants to. I don't respond, and I'm not going to, okay? I just, you know, I am not hungry for company. I have plenty of company, you know. I have plenty of love in my life. So I'm not going to be calling somebody new or anything. I don't want to. I don't need to. I have a lot of support and love in my life. So this person, I'm going to go ahead and look at it right now. I ain't going to say his name. Never met him, but he'll just decide he wants to tell me something about something he saw. Yeah, it's about Mike Watt. So cool. Yeah, he's telling me about his story. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, Mike is a very fine, friendly human. Like I said before, it would be nice. Okay, Dereck, don't do two things at once. It would be nice, but it's never going to happen if we had decent, loving, humane humans, people in offices. But we don't. It'll never be. Power corrupts. It does. That was another thing about the Arif Mardin documentary, where Ahmet Erdogan said very honestly, he said, in business and in business, you toughen up. You have to. But he said Arif Mardin, because of his role in the music as directly, you know, working with the artist, he was always a gentleman. But when you get into the board offices and you're dealing with the numbers, things change, and that's why things are so bad and so harsh in this world. So, other than that, sending you all love, sending love to everyone, family, everybody. Take care.